Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Free League Twitch, and welcome to Fetters of Stone. We're telling tales, and we have been running Fetters of Stone for you for about roughly the last 12 weeks or so, I think. 6 episodes we've had fortnightly on Sunday, and it all comes to an end today in what I'm sure will be just happiness, bunnies, everyone, rainbows, everyone just frolicking away from the damned prison in the middle of the dark forest. Just having a great time. So, yeah. Before we go any further, as usual, I'll bring on our lovely stream manager, Steve, who tinkers away in the background and moves around cams and images and moderates chats and does rules checks and all that good stuff. Hi, Steve. How are you today?
Hi, Matt. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how things play out.
Excellent. Are you happy or sad to be reaching the climax of Fetters of Stone?
It's a tricky one. I mean, conclusions are always exciting.
They are. But on the other hand, it does give us an afternoon back every other week. So, swings and roundabouts. Steve will shuffle back off to the Netherrealm now. And if he pops up on screen, don't be horribly traumatized. It's just that something's gone horribly wrong. So let's get a bit of promo out of the way, as I said at the beginning. We are Telling Tales. My name's Matt, and we run our own channel as well. We've got our own Twitch and our own YouTube. If you just search for Telling Tales RP on those, you're sure to find us. We also have our own social media and Discord and Patreon, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure you can find those things if you want to. We also run 3 weekly streams on our own channel on Twitch. Monday is Call of Cthulhu, Tuesday is Blades in the Dark, and Wednesday is Symbaroum, our main Symbaroum campaign, which we've just started playing through Throne of Thorns. We've been running Symbaroum for a year now, and this is the first time we've ventured into the big wide world of that main campaign, but we're running it and having a great time with it, so feel free to check that out. All those streams start at 8 o'clock in the evening BST. We also run a one-shot on the first Saturday of every month, and all the VODs for those are available over on our YouTube. The most recent of which was One Ring. That was a lot of fun, which is the new edition from Free League. Hey, it all synchronizes. Lovely. And our next one will be on, I think, the 4th of September. Yes, the 4th of September, and that should be a game of Dungeon World. So check that out. Here's the time where I'd normally mention the game we run every fortnight on Free League, but I don't have to do that because it's the last one. You're here for that, so everyone knows. It's all good. Yeah, good. So let's start bringing on the players, recapping the last session, and then we'll crack on with our finale. And first off, let's bring on your favourite and mine. It's Chris, who plays Gara, the Goblin Scout. Hi, Chris.
Hello. That's a disturbing number of nice things you said about me. I imagine I'm doomed.
We all remember Chris. Fondly beloved. Yes. So, Chris, last week started in a joyous way as well. Why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, we're down another goblin. We woke up to find that Ulfbolg's bedroll was empty and he was not to be found, even though he was supposed to be on third watch. I think the entire party were sick and tired of people gradually going missing and starting to get a bit disturbed. So a serious search party was set up, and we went up to review the drum, so tantalizing and as yet so unplayed. And shortly thereafter, we were summoned down by Obelix. No, the big shouty man. Atio Cerix Atio, yeah. Who had found Ulfbolg in the caverns in the maze-like spiral of bizarre root-locked tunnels and gutter lighting. So we all gathered round. We were ready for blood. The goblins were about ready to just straight up kill the sketchy... was it Yasso?
Yasso is the one who Ulfbolg had a fight with.
Yeah, we were looking for an excuse to just start on him. But Shortly thereafter, and after some good rolls, we worked out it probably wasn't him, and also that the cause of death was strangulation.
I don't think there's any particular way in which Iaso has been vindicated or let off the hook in any way. But it was more that no one kind of, I don't think anyone could just be identified as the killer. So, and you haven't really had the time to investigate much since then, after carrying the remains of Alfbolg up and burning his body. Other stuff has happened and gotten in the way of things. First of which, we'll have our second player lead us through. It's Elle, who plays Fera, the human, abducted human, now unabducted, and with this expedition, probably not much of a better situation, if I'm honest. Elle, hi.
Hey, so yes, we went back up the stairs. Goblins going to bury Alfbolg and everything, and all that, all very nice. And we returned to camp, I think, to just discuss matters in general. And upon arriving there, we found that pretty much every single bed that was there had a gift left on it. Except Alfbolg's, so the implication there being they knew he was dead. That's pretty much. We're all very confused. Why have gifts appeared?
Yeah, not much more.
Where we're at.
Not much more revealed about that. They're all kind of old Symbaric artifacts, but as to who's left them and why, still no idea. And next, what happened was essentially Mariel, the leader of the expedition, declared that everyone needed searching. In case this assailant was someone on the outside. And to lead us through some of that searching, let's bring on our next player, John, who plays Aaron Dar, last scion of the House of Dar of Ambria. John, take it away.
So, we did the good old split up and look for clues. Myself, Gara, and Shuglid went to the labyrinth underneath, where we found pretty much nothing apart from a strange vision that I had of my father that may have been there to try and lead me off the path, or maybe just another thing to add to the list of weird things that are happening to us. Meanwhile, Fera and Vardamar helped search the perimeter, where they heard strange voices that Vardamar thinks might have been speaking in Symbaric, even though no one knows what Symbaric actually sounds like. And in trying to follow the voices, they found a cool-looking coin. And the NPCs went and searched the perimeter and the other rooms and found nothing as far as we know.
Found nothing as far as you know. So there we go. So the investigation drew very little, sort of alongside all this and after it as well. Various conversations were had down in the labyrinth, or in the kind of monolith chamber between Gedeon, the mysterious mystic, and Vardamar and Aurel, the other two mystics in the group. And one of those has a player to tell us how those went. Please welcome Alex, who plays Vardamar. And hi, Alex.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh.
Vardamar was summoned back into the chamber with that particular monolith, along with Aurel, who finally came clean a little bit about his intentions and his plans and what was going on. That he felt the monolith itself was a key to this prison, and that there were spirits within who he felt were guardians to it, and that we should take some time to sort of investigate and attune ourselves to it all, but that we would be instrumental in breaking through to all of that, which, again, there is some doubt as to his take as to whether or not he's got the right end of it. He certainly doubts that the spirits would be in any way helpful or anything other than antagonistic, and that it's our job to get past them or purge them. And so we had a thorough investigation of it all. And to the point, Vardamar actually decided to have an augury and a fortune-telling session as to whether or not the spirits would seek out to harm or hinder anyone in the process, to which the answer was no, which is very telling.
Absolutely, and Vardmar and Aurel, having carried out some of their own investigations of the monolith now, but not a huge amount has come to light, other than I think the notion that Aurel put forward that there's something about the chains themselves. Yes, and that the spirits are in the stone, not the chains,
Yes.
which I think was his and your conclusion. So let's bring on our final player, Sam, who plays Shuglud, chieftain of the Varaguldru tribe, and all-around combat dicing machine. So everything was winding down for the night after a traumatic day. And surely nothing even more traumatic can happen in the evening, Sam. And if it did, I'm sure you're not about to tell us about it.
Yeah, we all just went to sleep and had a nice, quiet night in. Everything went perfectly well, and that was that. And I'm sure
cozy,
that's what happened.
cozy,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think things were a bit tense. That's probably putting it mildly, to be honest. Things were probably very tense, but we all basically decided we're going to go to sleep and take another crack at the stone in the morning. For those who were attempting that, and we went to sleep. I think it was kind of in the middle of the night. People started waking up to just like a very loud kind of rumbling noise that quickly began to sound like just an army of people approaching this prison. And I think a few people woke up and were kind of waiting to see what would happen if this army would materialize out of the forest, or what would happen really. And eventually Shuglud and the other Varagoldru woke up and just kind of walked out into the forest. They already camp outside the prison just about, and as they kind of got to the point where they felt they should be able to see something, and there was also a loud drumming noise going on at this point. As they got to the point where they should have been able to see something, there was nothing to see, and the noise kind of just vanished. And that was about where we left it.
It was everyone kind of returning or kind of returning to the camp or climbing out of their bedrolls. The sound of the army from the outside, the drumming from inside the prison, and the rumbles beneath the earth dissipating, and everyone looking around in shock, all apart from Gideon, sat on his bedroll calmly finishing his broth. Yeah, and that's exactly where we'll pick up. Or rather, shall we pick up there? What do we think the likelihood is, folks, that people will just try and return to sleep, or like go investigating in the dark? You know what I mean? Like maybe they won't sleep, but like, what's the likelihood of anything actually getting achieved overnight?
I think Farah and Aurel would have obviously heard all this and just noped out and just been like, well, we're not going back to sleep, but we ain't investigating that either, because that's scary and death.
Sure. I think there's
unless everyone else does it, then they will.
Absolutely.
I think there's also a sense that a lot of these hallucinations or visions or something that we've been seeing are either leading us astray or distracting us, or more of a message than an actual threat to be confronted. And so I think Vardamar would absolutely feel, after the umpteenth time of something trying to pull him to one side but leading him, somewhere, that this might just be more of a signal than it is an actual presence.
just the most dramatic of these incidents that has happened. Because of course Vardamar familiar, because I don't think I think we managed to miss in everyone's recap Vardamar himself having seen his vision of his deceased older brother down in the labyrinth. Okay, is there any kind of counterpoint to that? Is there any member of the party who's going to go straight over to another member of the group and kind of, is there any drama to be had? Or shall we widely assume a kind of a restless, tense night, but one that we can move aside in favor of the morning?
I think Aaron is in no state to think he should go tromping around in the dark. So
absolutely. Don't forget, I think you should get some healing as well, John.
it's
right?
one per day.
One per day. Yeah. So back up to 2 now, then.
4.
Oh, 4, okay.
Because it was the night before as well. Maybe it
Sure.
was 3. I can't remember.
I think you got some initial healing as well, although not very much. Yeah, the morning arrives, the sun rises. There's been no more kind of incidents overnight. From what you can tell, no one is missing. There is not the final remaining NPC goblin has not vanished. Elle is still around, but looking as nervous and tense as everyone else. The first thing to note as the morning rises is everyone can quite clearly see Iarso clambering to his feet, already clad in his kind of clothes. He seems to be packing his, because everyone's walked here with like a kind of, pack. He seems to be packing it up.
Are the other kind of Ambrian leadership team looking surprised at this?
Mariol is kind of does not seem to have noticed this yet, and is kind of stood talking to Elmea, the barbarian scout, but hasn't seen Iarso just packing his own bag and sort of hefting his long axe.
I think I'm going to do a bit of gossip reconciliation here and just kind of keep an eye on this and watch very carefully to see what happens when they notice, but not bring it about.
Sure. If no one's going to interfere or query what he's doing in any way. Oh, Aaron?
I think I was going to go up as he's packing and say quite obliviously, are we done?
I'm done.
What do you mean?
I get paid to watch the back of... I don't get paid enough to die here.
So you're just going to walk home on your own?
He sort of dumps his pack down and grabs his long axe by kind of halfway up the haft. He's not hefting it at you, but he is holding it, and he just kind of steps up quite flush to you, and he's a fair bit taller than you. He's taller than everyone except Serix, and he kind of pugnaciously juts his jaw at you and just says, "Are you going to stop me?"
No.
Mariol has noticed this and is kind of dashing over, and essentially, and I'm not going to go do the thing of a GM doing an argument between themselves here. Essentially, a wrangling argument springs up where Mariol's demanding to know, where he thinks he's going. He's being paid to be her bodyguard. It's all fine. It's under control. If everyone stays together, they'll be safe. Iarso's just having none of it, and clearly is perfectly willing to risk tramping through Davakar alone to escape this place. Is anyone going to interject, to weigh in, to,
Farah's quite happy he's leaving. She didn't like him at all, so she's not saying anything.
I think Shegled would be... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I'm going to vaguely chip in on whatever argument they're having of, it's a really stupid idea to go into the forest.
Sure. Is anyone else making their thoughts known?
I think Shegled is just laughing at them, at Iarso, really, and not attempting to hide that fact.
Is Serix awake yet?
He is awake, and he is. You can see him he stood quite close, and he's watching this kind of mounting argument with a kind of bored expression on his face. But very noticeable is he has his greatsword out, held like across his back in a ready position.
Okay. Well, that's. I'm going to make sure I'm also combat ready because just couldn't mind killing a dwarf this morning.
The dwarf isn't even involved so far.
Oh, sorry.
I did wonder where that was coming from.
There are so many NPCs. Forgive me.
There are, but I have already said of Iaso, he's taller than everyone in the group other than Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, this
this is Mariel's bodyguard.
A good opportunity to kill him then, so I'll be combat ready.
I mean, Gara will kill more or less anyone at this point, I think. If they're not a goblin, or maybe Aaron. I think Gara likes Aaron, but other than that... yeah, okay. Well, Aaron, you're making your case now, and why don't you give me a persuasion roll?
Okay.
See how well you weigh in on this.
Going to chip in an amount. Do you really think if you make it back, you'll ever get a job again? But... no. 14, and I needed an 11.
Nope. He kind of whips round on you again, right up in your face, and says, "I will if none of you get back." Everything kind of like stills a little bit, and you feel I mean, he actually bumps against you. You feel like plate armor just kind of like bumping up against your back. And Serek Zatio is there, kind of standing over you from behind, staring right at Iaso, who stares back for about 5 seconds, and then clearly thinks it's not worth it, turns away, picks up his pack, and starts walking. Mariel looks frustrated and angry, but not to the point of trying to go after him. I mean, that involves going into Davakar, which, yeah.
I think once he's kind of passed by me, I will have a very big grin on my face.
Sure. Iaso walks off. You can hear him grumbling and cursing as he makes his way into the trees, and then he's gone. One less NPC. Good.
Farah's just going to look at the... she's going to look at the goblins and just, in a like lower voice, just be like, "Who wants to put a bet on whether he makes it out or not?"
There's no bet to be had there.
Yep, I mean, I don't particularly care either way. Glad he's gone. Never liked him.
There is a shrill sound of Vlador the dwarf sharpening his blades, and he raises his voice and says, "He's ignorant as a pig. But should we go?" I mean,
go where?
I don't need to pay my debts.
Oh, the
Up to you,
drama!
Lady Mariel.
Mariel kind of looks around, feeling like she's losing control of the situation, and says, no, we will stay. I assure you, the danger money my father will pay you very handsome, and this is what you are here for, no? To provide protection. And sometimes people providing protection die. That is what happens.
That's not a very inspiring speech, Lady Mariel.
I'm not trying to inspire you. I'm trying to be a realist.
If we at least had something we could see or fight, that would be one thing. But many of us just keep disappearing, and that's not something we can guard against.
I understand that. What would you have me do? What would you propose?
This quest of yours seems to have no fixed end. We still don't quite know what we're looking for. We still have your scholar finding some vague clue about the prison or the thing that we are supposed to unlock here. We still have no sense of where this armory is. If we had a if we had more information about the direction, the end of this, then it would be a lot easier to see how much longer we can stay and risk our presence here.
I mean, I will... The secrecy here is not driven by myself. Gideon was a member of my father's household from a very young age, and grew to be a very competent scholar and lawmaster and mystic. He is the one who found this information about this location, the stone, and the prize that lies behind it. He had no success the first time he was here.
First time?
Yes. That is how he knows of it.
What happened to the first group?
Oh, killed in the forest by elves. He was the only survivor to make his way out.
He doesn't seem much of a warrior to be the sole survivor.
He got lucky. Well, I think his excuse for a flash of cowardice, in all honesty. I think he fled the combat.
Don't know what's worse, Davokar or Ambrian intrigue.
But this armory, there's no point in secrecy now, and I assure you, you'll be further compensated for sealed lips. My father owes a great deal of money, as I'm sure you have realized by now. She glances in a chastening manner at Vlador. This is part of his work to pay that debt and also to secure himself further among the viper's nest that is the Ambrian nobility. But yes, I admit we are at the whims of Gideon. He is the one who knows all about this. But from what he tells me, you have made significant progress, yes?
Somehow the significant progress that we've made doesn't feel like we're that much further ahead. It feels like he has some plan for how to unlock this, but I have yet to see any guarantees of success in that. And I don't know how much longer even he feels we have to stay to succeed here.
Oh, he informed me last night that you and Elle and he had made significant progress.
I guess we have different definitions of what that progress looks like. But it seems like at least we have an objective. I just don't know how long that will take, and I don't know what awaits us on the other side of it.
All right. Well, what would you propose? What would any of you propose?
One more day. Vardamar, if you can come back with a decent, at least some thread that we can pull on from that cursed rock. But if we don't, by tomorrow, goodness knows which one the forest will take tonight, we head back.
If Arel and I can't figure out what's behind it and what awaits us on the other side and what these spirits want of us by then, I don't know that we will. And I certainly don't know that another day of touching this stone again and again is going to tell us anything further. These visions are calling to us one by one, and I still don't know what they want of us. It feels like a warning, but until we know, we need to know more, but I don't know that any more dancing around the issue is going to tell us anything further. We need to dive in head first.
All right. Well, it sounds to me as though perhaps Vardamar and Orel need to go down and, yes, well, Gideon already seems to be down in the maze.
Of course he does.
Do we feel that further investigation and searching of the ruins and the area around will yield any more results?
I don't think so. We've searched all the rooms. There's nothing to do. Just wait until Gideon succeeds.
The only part we haven't explored is the other side of that cave-in. Without laborers and equipment, we have no chance.
All right. Well then, we hold firm, and we rely on the learning and the mystical power of our friends.
Is Arel nearby?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, I kind of want to go over to him and just have a quick private word about, because we're both, I feel, about to go down there and meet up with Gideon and settle on the plan. But I just want to have a quick word about the fortune telling and the augury itself, and just let him know I have looked into, with my limited ability, what the truth of this place or these spirits is, and I don't believe those spirits mean us any harm, no matter what Gideon says. I don't know what he's planning for this, but we need to watch one another's backs in there, no matter what happens.
He glances over at Farah. I did not feel anything malicious myself. And I have an idea.
You have my attention.
But I will need both of you to help with it, to lend me your strength. He's saying this to Vardamar. He's also saying it at the same time in Farah's head. And let's make this fun and have Farah not nearby. Let's have Farah not nearby. So he has said, I will need both of your help to Vardamar, but you don't know who he's referring to.
Yeah, I just have sort of a moment. Both of us. You mean Gideon as well? No,
Farah. She's no mystic, but it's best if I show you. Shall we go?
With dispatch.
He kind of dashes towards the labyrinth quite fervently.
I will kind of catch Shuglad's eye and kind of make to follow them.
Yeah, definitely head down there as well.
Okay. How about Aaron?
If everyone's heading there, I will also head down.
Okay. Let's say just the PCs go down there. Let's leave Elmea and Mariol and Serex and Vlad. Oh, that's it now. Oh no, and Ol can also. Ol will go down with you. Let's do that. All Varagul together, right? So, yes. Let's head down into the labyrinth. And as you are traveling along through the labyrinth, following it round, I'm assuming Shudlug, Gara, Aaron, are you making it clear that you're following the others?
Yeah, I don't think we're. I'm not going stealthily. I'm just leaving a respectful distance.
Okay, absolutely. As you start proceeding along, Arel kind of turns around to the group and says, perhaps it would be wise if some of you did not make it clear you were here.
I'll nod and kind of hold back then.
Yesterday he seemed to accept the presence of myself and Vardamar and Farah, but argued against more. But
we'll stay in reserve then. Shout if you need us. We'll be there very quick.
I think the less he's aware of other people we can bring to our aid, the better in his calculations. Let him focus on what he can see.
In that case, the three who are going to make themselves apparent to Gideon stride onwards through the labyrinth, and kind of as you do so, there's another noise becomes apparent the further you go in. A little sort of similar, but not quite the same. That kind of chipping, tapping noise you heard before. This one sounds like a kind of crackling and ripping. Definitely more a kind of more violent noise, but not a horrific one of ridiculous mayhem and chaos. But certainly sound kind of the sound of something cracking open under tremendous pressure. And as you move forward with this, Farah, Vardmar and Aurel ahead of you seem fairly focused on that noise and getting to the chamber, but your attention seems to drift slightly as you walk along. Can you give me a vigilant roll, please, at +2, let's say?
That I can. Yes, I got a 5 and I needed 12. So,
okay. While you are walking along, you're sort of down here in the labyrinth. Everyone has seemed to do this now and then. Your attention kind of wanders, and there are things on the edge of your hearing, and kind of like a bleary, like a mind fog sense as you walk along. And you just become aware of feeling like someone is watching you from behind. And as you turn to glance in the direction from which you've come, you see someone stood there. You see a woman, perhaps in her late 20s or early 30s, with the look that's kind of a poor labouring woman has in Ambria, of kind of like older than her years might say. And she's dressed in a very kind of basic and cheap shift and hood, and is looking at you sadly with a look of deep sorrow and regret. You know her from somewhere, but you have no idea where. But there are memories just creeping on the edge of your consciousness, memories from a long time ago. And then she's gone.
Yes. So am I the only one that saw that then, basically?
You certainly seem to be. Aurel and Vardamar are proceeding on forwards ahead of you.
I'll send a quick mind link over to Aurel and just state that basically the spirits are at it again. I saw something just now. A woman. She did not look malevolent or angry. She just looked very sad. It's so frustrating. There's something there. It's just on the edge, but I can't quite remember it. I feel like I knew her.
Aurel says, I think this place is fragile. I think things are breaking through.
Things?
I don't know. I think it's hard to describe. Like, there is overlap here. Worlds touch. I really think we should deal with this as quickly as possible.
Agreed. I dislike that there's seemingly so many spirits in this area. It's not natural.
So you, as you approach the chamber and the monolith, it's exactly the same as before. You round the corner, and the seconds before you do, the cracking noise stops. And Gideon is stood with his back to the entrance, no kind of tools or any kind of device in sight. And as you come in, he sort of turns around and says, "Joining me again today?"
I think we'll be here for the duration. What was making that racket before?
Racket?
Vardamar is just going to sort of have a so over this moment, but just wince and say, "Of course, you heard nothing."
The tunnels play tricks on the ears and eyes.
Seems so. But I think today's the day we have to dive in one way or another. I think we've learned all we can from skirting around this thing.
By all means, attempt your mysticism upon the stone.
I think Vardamar's plan from here is, he wants to get in touch with those spirits and communicate in some way, and whether that's through some sort of meditation or being in contact with the crystal as hard as possible and with Aurel's help. But he's very much trying to avoid a conflict with this, or for that to be his stated intention. So it's some form of communication or seance or something there, but I don't know what Aurel's plan is.
Sure. Well, Aurel seems to want to move around the back of the monolith, kind of slightly out of Gideon's sight.
Yeah, I'm going to follow him.
And he moves around there and kind of, Farah, he kind of tells you via your communication that you should do so as well.
Yeah, I'll follow suit then.
He then leans in very close to Vardamar, and Farah, you will hear this as well at the same time, and says, "You have more training than I do. We will lend you the power you need."
What?
He says to you and only you, "Take my hand."
I trust him implicitly, so I do.
Vardamar, he rests his hand on your shoulder, and you feel a warmth spread through your shoulder and a rush of... You don't know what it is. You don't think it's corruption, which is good. But for whatever reason, this boy seems to be a channel for something. And you have no idea what it could be. You have read things about the elves being able to lend each other their mystical power and their, to carry out great rituals that humans would not be capable of. As far as you know, the boy is not an elf, but there is something here, and you feel more potent than you ever have before.
I'm just going to feel this sort of inward rush of breath and just look him just very closely in the eye with this understanding to say to him, "I won't waste this, what you're giving to me now."
He nods, and you hear his voice inside your head saying, "Speak to them."
I'm going to give one last glance over at Gideon to see if he's even bothering.
He seems to be kind of resting on the other side.
Great. All right. I'm going to turn fully and face this monolith, and with both hands and my eyes closed, just put both of my palms against it and try to walk in as an ambassador, a kind of mean you no harm presence as much as humanly possible.
Absolutely. As you do so, as you start communing with the stone, could you give me a vigilant roll, please? And you can go ahead and take a +1 for it.
Okay. I needed it because that makes it 11, and I got an 11. So,
as your hands kind of make contact, your eyes glance upward slightly, and you see. And there's no time to say or do anything about this, because as soon as you touch the stone, well, we'll get onto that. What you notice is above you, quite a way above you, probably about a meter, is what appears to be the end of a slowly lengthening crack in the surface of the monolith. And then let's cut to Shuglad, Gara, and Aaron, please. Yeah, that's right. That's our 45-minute cliffhanger, folks. Yeah. So you're in the tunnel. Tell me how you're lurking, or how you're, how are we going about being within easy calling, but with sneakiness,
So I'm still not 1,000,000% sure exactly how we're laid out, but I understand that the approach to the central room of this place will have corridors adjoining it.
Yeah, it does. There's only one entrance in, but it like weaves back and forth around. So yeah.
So I think what I would do is just secrete myself round the corner, so I'm kind of just occasionally glancing back down the main thoroughfare, so I can see into the chamber, but maybe not what's going on.
Ooh, close enough to see in.
Yeah.
Okay, that is quite close. You would be less than 10 meters from Gideon. Like if you turned round, he might see you.
So
but
I think
you can do that if you want. I'm just going to make the roll more difficult.
I think. Why is my discreet so bad? I thought I was good at this.
Well, I'm just going to ask for one roll. I'm going to ask for whoever has the highest discreet to roll. So, I don't know what the other two's discreet is like.
Not
My
great.
discreet is 9.
Same.
I mean, I'll take a roll at an 11.
Okay, well, with two people to, I think it's close. So I was going to give you -3 for that, but I'll give you +1 for each helper with you, kind of like, picking the place and stuff. So that's going to leave you with a dead even 10 and 10.
It's a 50-50, folks. 1 dice, so I'm not rolling 40 like I did last time. I rolled a 6.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. So with Shuglin and Aaron with you, you're kind of lurking near the entranceway to this, occasionally kind of glancing around. Gideon seems to be now he is dropped to the floor and is sat cross-legged, kind of staring at the monolith. You hear some kind of hushed tones from further behind it, presumably Vardamar and Aurel and Farah, and then everything goes quite quiet, or reasonably quiet. Everyone who isn't communing with the stone. So Farah, you know what? I'll give you the same penalty for all of you, because Farah, you're involved in this ritual that Aurel is carrying out in some degree, and it's quite. I should have described what you feel as well. You feel kind of not weakened, but like you're standing still and kind of breathing, but you feel like anything you might do beyond breathing and standing still would exhaust you. Like all the extra energy you're producing is flowing through your hand, through Aurel and into Vardamar. If you let go, the effect would stop. But you definitely feel, like you can't just leap into action right now. We may have lost Elle. So yeah, why doesn't everyone who isn't Vardamar and is on the stream give me a magnificent timing, as Alex said in our private chat. Why doesn't everyone give me a vigilant roll? And this is going to be quite harsh here, folks. A vigilant roll at -4, please.
So I can only succeed with a natural 1. Which I get.
Wow. I also
Amazing.
rolled a natural 1.
Oh my god. How did Chris do? Chris didn't get it. Well, we don't need to make sure that Elle got it, because, Aaron and Shugler both got natural 1s. So there we go. Both of you become aware of a noise in the chamber, and it seems to be higher up in the chamber, and it sounds like a slow and low in volume creaking crack, as if the stone was cracking, but slowly, under slow pressure.
I'm going to whisper to the goblins, I think it's working.
It's hard to know.
I'm going to nook an arrow. A stone arrow at that.
Sure.
Sounds like
I think we have an Elle back. There we go.
Yes, apologies. Once again, the internet gods, aka Richard Branson, decided I do not deserve stable internet.
Branson! So yeah, did you get the kind of gist of what I was saying there about like energy flowing?
I got
from you?
energy flowing efforts. Any effort past breathing will exhaust me.
Mhm.
That's where it died.
Sure.
So
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Elle, but your voice has gone crackly again.
Be right back.
BRB. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, so you guys have heard that cracking noise. No activity kind of going on beyond sort of making yourself more aware of stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. Well, I'm possibly drawing. No, yeah, I am drawing my blades.
Absolutely. That sounds good. So I think we've got an Elle again, so let's bring Elle on.
Right, am I crackly? Am I still crickle
A
crackling?
little bit, but it's better. We'll
We'll
have
deal
it.
with that.
We'll
All
deal
right.
with it. We'll
have
deal
it.
We'll have
I'm
it.
so sorry, viewers.
It's
So
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. It happens. So, yes. So to catch you up, yeah, the energy flowing through you. Could you make me a vigilant roll at -4, please?
I can indeed. Whether I'll pass it or not is a different matter entirely. I think my vigilance like 10. So I got a 6.
This is the day of, just so you know, on that roll on which Aaron needed a 1 to succeed, both Aaron and Shugled got 1s.
Okay, so
everyone's pretty. This is not a subtle thing that I expected it to be, but that's fine. So you are also aware that there is a slow, a very low volume creaking, cracking noise coming from the stone, and in fact, you're in position to see it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say, if you look at the stone, you will see that crack kind of very slowly easing its way down above where Vardamar is.
So I'm assuming I asked, like, hearing the creaking, cracking. I can tell it's coming from the stone.
Yeah, the other two can tell it's coming from the stone as well, but they can't see the actual crack.
Well, yeah, obviously I'd turn around to look. I would look at the stone and see said crack near Vardamar's head. Did you say?
It's about 1 meter off his head, but yeah.
Does he look aware of this? Just in case.
No, he looks aware of nothing.
Oh well,
he's communing with the stone.
I will try to. I don't know how successful it will be. Mind link with Aurel to let him know. Nope, he's gone.
He is channeling the power through himself into Vardamar. Whatever he is doing, it's like white noise. You can't break through to him in this moment. He seems very,
I'll try to warn Vardamar of the crack opening above his head, but I don't know. I'm assuming I won't be very successful.
Vardamar also seems to be kind of,
Well, I tried. Sorry, Vardamar.
That's legit. That's legit. Yeah. So, and I'm just gonna shuffle Alex back to the middle, just because I feel I'm going to be talking to Alex directly quite a bit here, and it just feels better if I'm doing that. So, Vardamar. Can you give me a resolute roll, please? And can you give it me at a +6?
So I think only a 20 will fail me at this point.
Oh, if it takes you to 20, no, you can't fail.
Okay.
There's no fumbling in the game other than in combat, essentially, when it isn't really a fumble.
Resolute's my thing, yeah. So that wouldn't fail me.
That's absolutely fine then. But tell you what, do you want to give a roll anyway to see if you get a 1?
Okay. It's a 2, so not a 1.
Whoa,
but,
not quite. But
very close.
There we go. So, at first, all you feel is the cool stone under your hands and that odd kind of shimmering vibration that it seems to give off. And then you have a feeling like diving into the cool water of a pool on a summer's day. Your consciousness doesn't exactly go anywhere, but you suddenly become aware of just something opening up in front of and around you, and you have an odd sensation. When you're so tired, everything just seems to be slightly kind of offset. It starts that way, and then it builds and builds until similar to what Aurel said to Ferret in the tunnels, you feel like you are in two places at once. Like the world is overlapping on itself, and one of it is the chamber and one of it is somewhere else, and the stone is the only constant between the two. You also become aware of very much not being alone. There are presences around you, tens of them, hundreds of them, thousands of them, and they, when they start speaking to you, they speak at one as one to the point where you're not sure if they were ever separate. Like it almost seems like a figment of your imagination that they might have been.
Can I discern any individual words or voices from their speaking?
Not at first, but then one of those voices that seems like it is thousands of people and one all at the same time, says to you, "You are not the intruder."
I hope I am not intruding. My name is Vardamar, and I know this is your place that I am treading on.
Why do you come?
We are seeking something behind this stone, but we are not certain what is behind it or even what it was meant to do in the first place. I'm hoping you can tell me.
We will share with you if you promise us a boon.
What boon can I grant you?
Release.
If I do this, will you harm myself, my companions, in doing so?
We could not. It is not your world we wish to be released in. Even though it was the one in which we were born.
And what will happen to you when you are released?
We will forever be apart.
Vardamar's going to think this over, but even though it seems like a bit of a devil's bargain, I think he's going to come to a conclusion about it and just nod. And if it's within my power to do so, I will set you free.
Well then, you hear or feel more than anything a kind of chime, as though a bell has been struck. And the voice constantly kind of like with other voices whispering in and through it starts telling you the purpose of this place. The stone is the prison. They put us in here. Tens of us, hundreds of us, thousands of us. Murderers, arsonists, seditionists, rebels. Some of us stole to feed our families, spoke against the kings and tyrants who lorded over us. It did not matter. This was the prison and the deterrent, to be sealed away in another place, another pocket, another world, never to be able to commit anything against the laws of Symbaroum again.
Those laws are long dead now. They are long past and faded into dust. And while I am no judge, it seems to me you have long since served out any sentence that could be meted on you.
We have long since lost the need to be individuals. What we are now, we do not know. But we do not wish to return. The land is gone, our time is gone. But we are still vulnerable while we are here. And the intruder, he believes he has something at his beck and call. He is in the service of it. It wishes to break through the seal of dark stone and consume us all. There is no armory. This stone is not a gate. It is simply us and him and the creature wrapped around the stone who wishes to feed on us.
What can I do to stand between you and this creature?
It is present in our world and yours. Your staffs, your blades, your arrows. If you can see it, you can strike it. It is out of his control now. Cutting him down will not stop it. And you can also save the stone. You can save us and cast us forever to our other world. If the chains are broken, we can be forever in exile as our reality comes unmoored from this stone.
Is there some secret to breaking those chains? They look nigh impregnable to us.
If the chains fall, the prison falls. If the prison falls, the chains fall. And there is a way. A way only available to someone who has suffered great loss. There is a drum placed on the walls to discourage anyone from attempting to rescue us. For when it is beaten hard enough, the walls fall and we would be lost forever.
We've seen this drum. I know of it. Is that all that is required?
Stop the creature. Beat the drum.
It will be done. You have my word.
You and your companions, we will not attempt to interfere or harm you. And you may take the gifts.
It was you that gave us those, wasn't it?
We thought you came here seeking treasure. Perhaps if we gave it to you, you would leave and take the intruder with you.
I admit it was why we came, but it is that we are not here to take treasure at any cost, and certainly not at keeping you prisoner, and certainly not at letting some creature have sway over this place. If there is no armory and there is nothing beyond, then our course is clear.
All will be forgiven. Destroy the creature. Beat the drum.
I'm going to nod. And do I sort of have agency to leave this space if I desire?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to have sort of one last communion. This creature, is there anything more you know of it? Any vulnerabilities it has? Anything it wants that we can use against it?
It seeks only to consume. And it is a wound between worlds.
And it is time we heal that wound and make sure this is the last day it consumes anything at all.
Okay.
And I think with that, I'm going to return to the real world.
So as you do so, you become aware of the creaking crack in the stone above you. It's now raised in pitch, so kind of everyone can hear it. Gideon has clambered to his feet, and he's kind of like reaching out towards the stone with like a greedy gesture, as if he feels that it is about to open or relinquish some kind of treasure to him. What are we all doing? I feel like I am aware we're not in combat yet, but I feel like the situation is tense enough that we should introduce Initiative. So, Steve, can you flag up some initiative? Don't have any monsters or anything on it. Just, the party for now, please. Yeah. You can go ahead and put Gideon at the end. He's not very quick or vigilant, for that matter.
Am I still? Is Farah still all like? If she moves, she will be exhausted as all heck, or is that ended now?
If Vardamar has detached from the stone, no, you feel there's no energy coming, kind of pulling through you anymore. You feel Aurel's kind of hand loosens on yours though, and he starts to kind of like reel and drop to one side.
Well, in that case, my action rather than going towards Gideon would be to, catch Aurel and steady him, make sure he doesn't fall first.
Sure.
First and
Absolutely.
foremost.
Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, we are aware of none of this, right?
Yeah, you're not aware of anything that's kind of happened within there, but you can hear the cracking noise sort of escalating in volume.
I think I'll do a surreptitious peek around the corner again.
Sure. So you can see Gideon sort of becoming very enthused, it seems, as he's standing up and sort of reaching towards the stone and has a look of unpleasant ecstasy on his face.
Ooh, I think obviously he's probably got his back turned to us if he's doing stone stuff. So
yeah.
Maybe I'll be a little bolder and maybe kind of start to position myself to. I'm making an assumption here that things are going to come to a crescendo soon, given that the cracking noise is also coming to a crescendo.
Mm-hmm. That seems very reasonable. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think that's what Gary's doing. Farah is taking a bio break. So, Aaron, are you? It's fine to say nothing because we're not really fully clued in yet.
I'm trying to think, because on the one hand, we're not fully clued in, and as far as Aaron knows, this is what is supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Gara, who is normally quite stabby anyway, is getting particularly stabby. So, at his cue, I think I might start, as Gideon's distracted, start moving forward.
Kind of edging forward. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me a discreet roll, please? And you can take a +5 to that.
Oh, okay. Got a chance then.
Gideon's pretty distracted.
So I'm aiming for a 14. And I roll a 2.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, you are sneaking up quite capably behind Gideon. And you're now kind of, do you want to actually be in the chamber?
Yes.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Shugled, how about you?
I think Shugled would probably just stay close to Gara and see what he was doing. Trust his instincts. Probably draw his swords.
That seems reasonable. So in my head, what's kind of Aaron is the one ahead, and then Gara kind of behind Aaron and Shugled behind. Elle has also kind of, I remembered about him, he's kind of unslung those axes at his hips and is like walking forward sort of flush with Gara. So like the group of you are generally behind Gideon as he's kind of, villaining it up, reaching out towards the monolith. Gideon, I guess this all hinges on you a bit now. What are you going to do?
Do you mean
Vardamar?
Sorry, not Gideon. Vardamar. Sorry, I was looking.
How dare you confuse
How
him?
dare I?
I don't even look like him. I mean, that hurts.
You don't? No? Vardamar, how about you? What are you doing?
Coming out of that stone, do I feel any different? Am I like gasping for breath, or am I just there?
No. It is a rush. So yeah, I'd say you're like you have to take a big deep breath as if you've been holding it, but you are instantly aware and you are in place, as it were.
Can I see any of the goblins or the rest of the crew outside the chamber?
I'm going to say, yeah, you can actually probably see them sort of creeping up behind Gideon.
Okay, I'm just going to spout out a whole bunch of verbiage then, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Just as loud as possible, as fast as possible. One of you, bang the drum as fast as you can on top of the wall. The rest of you restrain him.
One detail, just I thought I'd throw it in because I did gabble over it while we're talking. A detail mentioned, but this might work out real well anyway. The voices said one who has suffered great loss must bang the drum. But having said that, the person closest to the entrance is Shugled.
Okay.
So that might work out quite well. Just a thought.
Vardamar is aware of the Volagodru's history, like he knows,
at least borderline, and his tribe members are dropping like flies. Yeah. So great loss seems to be a good way to sum it up. Yeah.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. Then, I if he's closest to the exit, then lock eyes with Shugled. It has to be you. The drum atop of it. Hit it as hard as you can.
Okay. Gideon, who is next, sort of wheels round and sees those of you kind of like sneaking up flush with him, and is kind of like whips that, the heavy cloak, kind of bundled robe and yellow cloak he's been wearing all the way through this, kind of whips it aside and is scrambling at his... you can see now under his robe he's wearing almost nothing. He's wearing like a thick belt that has a lot of pouches and pockets kind of hanging off it, and he has kind of a loincloth, and the rest of his body is visible, and it does not look good. He is covered head to toe with signs of broken bones, rended but healed skin. He looks like a man who has been tortured unimaginably, as parts of his bones kind of like jut out or like press on the flesh and lead it through. You genuinely have no idea how he walked here. It must have caused him intolerable pain to do so, and he is fumbling for something at his belt. Yes, the cracking noise ceases, and instead there is a sort of hard, fleshy, scaly, slithering, sliding noise from further up the monolith. And as it does so, there is a slight kind of shake in the chamber as of something heavy and large dislodging. And as that happens, pieces of soil and dirt and dust and roots from above kind of tumble down and scatter. Like the ceiling isn't coming down, but you're all kind of like spattered with just bits of soil and dust and the like. Everyone in the chamber, can you roll a vigilant at +5, please? Yep, we got yep.
Natural
Who
one
else?
again.
Natural one again.
Oh,
amazing.
nice.
How did
The dice
Shugled
gods are
do?
favouring us.
Is Shugled in the chamber?
Yeah, you're still there because you haven't had your turn to run out again,
yeah.
right? So
I succeeded.
okay. All of you become aware that above you in the chamber, unfurling itself from around the monolith, is a being that until now you could not see. But now there is dirt and soil scattering down on it, and you can see the very edges of it. And you wish that you could not. It is a demonical, cataclysmic conflagration of a being. What look like tentacles and rending eyes and mouths, shifting around a central mass of something that seems to be fleshy but moving like fire. Yes, we already in the private chat we are getting kind of Call of Cthulhu. It's not inappropriate. It is, in every sense of the word, a cosmic horror, and as the voices inside referenced it, a wound in the world. Yeah. you can go ahead and introduce it into the initiative order, please, Steve. And we even have an image for you because I cheated and didn't make up my own creature.
How do I roll to soil my loincloths?
There we go. You can't see it as clearly as that. Not that I'm saying that that individual can see it clearly. But you can only see it because of the soil and dirt coming down on it. And when that stops, you probably will not be able to see it again. In fact, I'm going to say that you will see it next turn for that happening, but after that it will become invisible again unless some method is used to make it visible. Thank you for the image, Steve. And yeah, when the initiative comes back up, let's get going. Gara.
Appropriate time to try beast lore?
Sure, sure, yeah.
It's a roll on cunning. I don't suppose you want to adjust it.
I actually think I will. It is just... This is a creature in the Monster Codex for anyone who wants to use it in their own games, although I've made it a bit more significant feeling in this, I guess. But you know what? I still think a penalty. Yeah, I'm trying to make it otherworldly in that, right? So take a -3 on it.
7 or less. 17.
No, you have no idea what this thing is, as you might imagine. Yeah.
I've got 2 targets. I don't know which one to take a shot at.
Sure.
Gideon.
I think it's going to be Gideon, actually, because he's going to be easier to hit. And I have kind of wanted to take a shot at him for quite some time.
Sure.
He's been so nice up until this point, so yeah.
No, he's really...
well, he is a very easy still target. He's standing there fumbling, and he cannot move very well at all. Take a +5 on your shot at him.
19 or less. It's an 11, so that is a hit.
Okay. Give me a damage roll on that.
And that is my good old-fashioned D10. It's a 6.
Okay. I am not going to consider him much of a viable combat opponent, as I think I've already indicated. He is an absolute physical wreck in really no state to be engaging in fisticuffs or magical or otherwise. You kind of very swiftly, with intent to sort of remove him from this situation, lift your bow. You already had one knocked. You release the arrow. It strikes him deep in the shoulder, and he, with a kind of cry, wheels round and kind of collapses on the ground in that bundle of ropes, and is kind of trying to kind of crawl to the side of the chamber. Yeah, he is not going to be a significant factor in this conflict.
So, okay, so
let me
in
tell
my
you,
defense,
the scorner's enough.
In my defense, if he's not evil, why does he sound like Skeletor?
Fair enough. I would say when I was giving that cry, I didn't intend for my voice to completely give out for 3 seconds at the beginning of it, but I'm happy with it. I'll take it. Are you going to use your movement action for anything?
I think I'm going to just stay in the corridor, but I want a good shot on the...
You're in the chamber by now, my friend. You all crept into the chamber.
Okay. So I'm just going to keep range. I suppose it's hard to keep range against the Cosmic Horror.
Sure, you're going to like back off a little bit from... Yeah, it is huge enough that it can reach you. You think if you stood at the back of the entrance aiming your arrow in, it could reach you from there. It's a mass of roiling tentacles and monstrous appendages. Yeah.
That's my play, I suppose. Just stay back
off as you know. Yeah. So you're at least the others are in front of you. Yeah. So there we go.
Ranged combat.
Yes, Farah.
Yes. All right, cool. So I believe Farah wears a cloak, I think. So would this count as a movement action or just an action? Basically, I was just thinking of unbuckling cloak, throwing it at Cosmic Horror. Just so, like... I mean, it'll probably throw it off, but it might give us an extra bit of, hey, there it is. Like, so we can actually see it.
First off, I would say that because you can. So this is just the mechanics of how it works. If it's revealed, you have a turn of it being revealed. So if you did anything else on this turn, it would just count for this turn where it's already revealed, if you see what I mean.
Right. Got it.
Also, I think it's a really good intention. And if it was a smaller thing, I'd say, yes, that would work. But because it's so big, I think if you throw your cloak at it, it'd just slip off it. Like, it's so big and cosmically horrible that I don't think that might work. But, you know, if you want to do it next turn and try it, let's say this, it'll work on a 1.
Right, cool.
Next turn. But I wouldn't do it this turn because you'll waste
this turn, then, to be perfectly honest, I'm going to grab Elle and get as far away from the scary thing as possible.
Oh my. Okay. Okay.
Right.
I am going to.
I mean, I'm not going to run out the corridor or anything like. I'm not going to run completely out. I'm not running away. I'm just putting, because we're right next to the stone, aren't we? Which is quite. I'm putting myself I
mean, the chamber isn't that big anyway.
More towards the entrance way, where Sugarload and Gara and Aaron were.
I mean, you can use your movement action to do that and still have your combat action left.
Yeah, in that case, so do that, and then I am going to just, beat it over the.
You're going to try and hit
head
it
with the staff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just...
Okay, yeah, you can definitely, because it's kind of descending on you all at the moment, so you can still move around in the chamber, and you can kind of grab Elle, heave yourself over near the entrance, and then sort of release him so he kind of stumbles and clasps on the wall or something, and then wheel round and try and strike it with your staff. Go ahead with that strike. It is a +3 to hit this
because
thing.
It's so large.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's an 18 or less, so hopefully. Got a 10, so I've hit it.
Good stuff. And why don't you give me a damage roll, please?
I will indeed. Okay, cool. 1d10. 7.
7.
And I apparently accidentally Google thinks I'm saying something because my phone started talking to me.
Your thing with your staff, isn't it, that you get a second chance to hit? Is that if you miss, but it doesn't do extra damage or anything? Yeah,
no, it's I gain a free attack if an opponent defends against my initial attack for 1d6.
Yeah.
If holding a staff, which I am, this can be done after every successful defense after melee attacks.
Yeah, no worries. So you strike it, and you definitely feel, you are striking something solid. It may be only partly visible, but it's certainly hittable, and it seems to have kind of toughened flesh or scales. That's how it feels when you hit it. But you definitely feel it give, and it doesn't give out any cry of pain or kind of, turn on you or anything, but you feel this scaled, hardened flesh under your staff sort of quiver unpleasantly as you strike it. So it's clearly registered it on some level. And you rolled a 7, didn't you?
Yes, that I did.
Yes. Okay. Damage dealt. Aaron.
I'm probably just gonna try and stab it. Or swipe for a tentacle.
Sure. Are you doing any doing anything with your movement action?
I don't think so. I can't. I mean, it's kind of descending on us.
Sure. No, yeah.
Anywhere I go, I will be at risk.
Yep, that's fair. So dropping into your fencing position, not the most obvious fencing opponent you've ever had, but there we go. And it's a +3 to hit.
Okay, so I need 19 or under. So, I rolled a 3, so that's definitely a hit, and I rolled a 10 on my damage.
10 on your damage. That is not too shabby. Aaron, you drop into that fencing position, and one of the kind of tentacled appendage that sort of Fera struck swings back and kind of is flailing and shaking and trembling. And as it swings towards you, you kind of take a step back and whip your saber through the air, and it slices neatly through something covered in dirt and soil and made of unpleasant, hard, leathery flesh. And you hear the thump of part of it falling to the ground near you, but you cannot see it.
Would it be possible for me from here, if I did want to move my movement action, to move to a place where I am harder to hit?
No, not really. Like I say, the mass of this thing is... There's no cover from it. Unless you want to just leave the combat.
No, I guess I was more thinking of putting Farah slightly in front of me. I'm on 4 health, guys.
Sure. There's no real... Yeah, the way this thing works, like, it could just reach round. Like, engagement isn't really a sense in this, you know what I mean? So I think we will miss that. I would like someone, please, because the Scorner is striking someone for narrative purposes. So I would like the Shuglud. Can you roll defense for Elle, please? And I would like you to roll. Just roll and tell me what you get.
Rolled a 4.
Okay, that is. Oh no, he's got. Yeah, never mind. No, that's not good enough. Sorry.
Oh God.
And I will. Oh no, I don't do a damage roll. Can you give me an armor roll for him, please? A d6.
Yep. Rolled a 3.
Okay. So you see kind of Elle scream and whip out his axes and charge ahead of you and leap up into the air and kind of lodge his axes in the thing, and he's now kind of dangling and swinging in the air. This thing doesn't seem to need purchase on anything. It's kind of half hovering and half guiding itself by these tentacles and appendages crawling along the floor and the walls. And he's kind of hacking at it, and as he does so, you see one of these tentacles kind of curl around him and draw him in close and start squeezing with an kind of writhing around him, sort of like as an anaconda or something would, kind of just grinding together, and you hear unpleasant cracking and wet noises. Oh, for what it's worth, does not seem to feel it. He's just now he's lodged next to the thing by being crushed. He's just pulling those axes out and slamming them in again and again. But it it does not look good for Elle. Shuglud, I suspect you have a quick roll to make.
A quick roll?
If you're fleeing for the drum.
Shuglud, well, I think this was a difficult thing for Shuglud, but Shuglud has Code of Honor, which is cannot run from a fight that has begun.
That is true. That is true.
That's delightful.
This is a complex one, isn't it? Because you could argue that the drum is the combat, if that makes sense. Like, that's the way to... But that is interesting, isn't it?
The rules that I have are: the character has adopted a very strict code of honor applicable in all situations, especially burdensome in combat. The effect of the code is that the player character never runs from a fight which has begun. Sure, sometimes combat can be avoided, but when the fight is on, all enemies must fall.
See, we could argue that that is a method to do this. Yeah, okay. But what we could do is instead flip this onto Gara. Like, we could, if you wanted, we could try and say that Shuglud yells for Gara to do it instead, or something like that. Assuming Gara doesn't also have this.
I think he
And
might.
we all have it. The thing is, I'm just going to throw this out here if you want it. These are 5 XP boons, aren't they? The specific way we did them.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Can I buy mine off?
I don't think we even need to do that. If we want to make it narratively satisfying, I think.
Could we send Orel? He's an NPC. Fera doesn't want him in combat.
Which means we don't get to see what happens, which doesn't make it very narratively satisfying. I'm basically gonna break the rules here. I'm gonna say that this is an edge case because this is, as far I don't think this is fleeing from combat. I think this is engaging in combat in a different way. And I would, but if you want, we can roll for it.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I don't mind any.
I don't know, guys. I had not factored this in.
So here's the thing. Gara is one of the older members of the Vara Goldru.
Mm-hmm.
He is also not and was never entirely bought into this whole arrangements that we have done here. He's going along with it out of tribal affiliation, but he's also, as the tracker, as the hunter of the tribe, has always been a bit of, not a loner, but is okay working alone.
Sure.
I would buy that off, and I would not. Much as I would love to.
We don't need to buy up. We don't need mechanics to do this. That's the thing. Yeah. I just I would like to hand wave this if possible because we had it set up, and there's a balance to this. And Shuglud, made narrative sense. Was the last in, as well as it seemed to describe Shuglud quite well. Yeah. So I'm happy hand waving this as Shuglud thinks this is this will complete the combat.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you're going to do more damage than Lisa.
Sure, but that's thinking tactically rather than narratively. You know what I mean? So
in that case, I think
screw that Munchkin stuff.
Shuglud is probably going to look at this creature, have his blades drawn, and be on the verge of charging in, and then just give kind of a frustrated, not a sigh, just a noise of frustration, and just turn and leg it out of these channels.
Can you give me a quick roll, please? And I am happy to give you a bit of a buff on this because I think that Shuglud will be running like he's never run before. So you can take a +2 on your quick, I think, as you dash through these tunnels.
I roll against a 12 with the +2. I roll a 6.
Excellent. So you dash through the tunnels. You tell me what the quickest way Shuglud thinks of going. Are you going that guaranteed to get out, kind of just running straight along the curves and the winds of the labyrinth?
I think he's running directly back down the path. It seems to be there's a path that kind of winds in and you just follow it back out. He's just running. He's not trying to take any turns. He doesn't want to get lost. And also, he thinks he can run quicker just running in a straight line as fast as he... Well, not a straight line, but
absolutely. More or less straight, apart from some curves. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I would say that might change that or interrupt that, and that's what you're doing. You think you're running fast and you're running around the various winds. As you do so, the gutter lighting in this area now is kind of everything shaking and parts of that whatever oil-like substance is slopping over the edge, and kind of so the lights are flickering quite a lot, and and your vision is darkening slightly. You're exerting yourself so hard, and ahead of you, and there's no time to think about this, so we'll just go with whatever you think Shuglud's instinct is. Ahead of you, in one of the kind of bits of the tunnel that go off to the side between the winds, in which I think it was established in the past that going between them, sometimes it was shorter and sometimes not so much. Part of the sense of this place that kind kind of plays tricks on you. You see a figure leaning out, a short, skull-painted goblin with an easy grin and a wicked glint in his eyes. Rusty is leaning out from the side and going, "Brother!" reaching out that you should come where he's standing.
I think Shagred will go with Rusty.
You dive onto the next winding path over and carry on running. As soon as you approached him, Rusty was gone. You have the sense that this has been a shortcut closer to the entrance. Back in the chamber, Vardamar, I think it's your turn.
Okay. I have a weird thought, and I don't know if it's going to work for Vardamar here. The Scorner itself is hovering. It's not making its way down any lower, is it?
It has made its way down lower, but it's still sort of hovering, sort of with most of its mass above where you can interact with.
Okay. I have a weird idea as to whether or not, since this thing exists in both worlds, whether or not Vardamar could be more effective by touching the monolith and trying to either fight it there or at least make it visible by fighting it on both sides. But somehow in a world of spirits and mysticism, maybe he's more potent there than he is in this world. It's a thought. I don't know if there's a lore master for that or if that's just total nonsense.
I'm happy for you to make a cunning roll with that as a free action on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. That is a 9, so that does pass, yes.
The voices referred, well, for a start, they wanted to keep the thing out.
Okay.
So you suspect that because it has not cracked through, it's not part of that specific realm yet.
Gotcha.
Which means you probably can't affect it from there.
Okay. Then, yeah, I want to start then by cursing it. So I'm just going to gaze very hard at it and look, I'm displeased with its very existence.
Real mean.
Yeah.
Look at it real mean.
Just all nasty like.
All nasty like. Is curse... Is that like a full combat action?
It's
free.
It is a free action so far as I know.
Nice.
It's just looking at stuff. Gideon seems downed, or at least out of it. Like he's not. Is he up to anything so far as I can see?
No, he's out of this. In fact, Steve, go ahead and remove him from the initiative order. I think that's fine. Yeah. So for the let's go with the curse for a start, right? So you have to make you do have to make a resolute roll to put it. Oh, it says Dark Glare automatically gives an enemy a second chance to. Okay, yeah, no, never mind. Okay. I guess you don't have to roll then. Yeah, because it says automatically. So yeah,
cool. So I will curse it, and then I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to try to bend the will of the Scorner, the wound in the world, and this may be horrible. So I think this does require a resolute roll, if I'm not mistaken.
It does say automatically, but doesn't every mystic power require a roll and therefore a corruption? I don't know.
Ben will has to make an opposed resolute check.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was still thinking about the curse. Sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, curse. It's just a re-roll of any checks the Scorner makes against me. It's nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you don't have to roll. I guess if it says automatically, you don't have to roll. But under mystical power, to say every time any one of them is used, you do roll a d4 for corruption. I think you will still gain the corruption from using it.
Sure.
So you might want to do that before you decide if you use Bend Will. If you roll a 4 or something, I don't know.
Well, this is that's just a 2. Okay, so I can live with that.
And before you do, and this is just me being kind here.
Yeah.
Before you do Bend Will, can you give me another cunning roll?
Yes.
Because that takes your action, doesn't it? So I'm being generous here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a fail. That's an 18.
Okay. If you think you'd use the Bend Will, go ahead and use the Bend Will.
Oh, yeah. The only thing that would stop me from narrative purpose is that the spirits were talking about using, staves and arrows and blades against the thing, and that they will hurt. I think he's readying that, but I don't know if he'd use it yet unless it seemed like a desperate thing.
No, yeah. Like if you think you'll do it, then go for it. Like I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna try and block it with the stick, but that's ready as an action. I think he wants to see how this plays out. There's a lot of people in here. If Gideon's not messing with stuff, then at least there's a lot of focus stuff. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So this is accurate then. To hit
oh yeah, if you're hitting it, then yeah, it'll just be an accurate roll. Yeah.
Oh, but I was very inaccurate. That's a 15, so that does not.
Okay. You swipe. Oh, and it would have been at +3 if that helps.
Almost, but not in this case.
Not quite. Yeah, you strike out with your staff and don't really hit anything, which isn't that difficult a thing to achieve because it's only half visible.
Yeah.
So there we go. Time for NPC's action, and that includes Ulls. And unfortunately, something kicks in on Ull's turn when the thing has it in its grasp. There is a sickening crunch, and anyone close enough to the combat will see Ull's head loll to the side, and the axes drop from his grasp onto the floor with a clatter. As for other NPCs, Shuglud, you can hear some commotion that sounds like it might be coming from the stairs down to the labyrinth. But other than that, I think we're back round to the beginning. Gara.
Okay. I have a movement action. With your permission, I would like to rig up a flaming arrow, but not in that way. I want to actually tie a kind of lit rag to the shaft of the arrow, and I want to put the arrow in the unspeakable horror to kind of lighten it up.
Honestly, I see. Oh, to actually, yeah, because you actually can't see it this turn now. So, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, sure. So I'd say that, yeah, what you're doing, essentially, if you have to kind of light the arrow first along the gutters.
Yeah.
And then fire it. Okay. Make a, and I'd say this is, yeah, it's a combat attack, but I'm going to remove its defense for the purpose, like the defensive advantage it gives you for the purposes of this. So just give me a flat attack. And if this works, you spatter kind of like flaming oil over it, and you guys can see it for the rest of this round. Yeah, we'll go with that. Sure.
There we go. Accurate at 14. Rolled a 6.
Hey, so there we go. Your flaming arrow flies out and kind of spatters the oil all over the creature, which quickly ignites as it's kind of grinding these tentacles and appendages around against the gutter on all sides. And yeah, it's visible again for this round. And not only that, Christopher, but can you give me a damage roll, please?
I can indeed. Oh, an 8. That's delightful.
That's not bad, you know? That's not bad at all.
Pain threshold?
No. Worth noting, by the way, because we did this week in our main Symbaroum campaign that we run on Wednesdays. We're running using the Symbaroum errata now, which means that pain and corruption thresholds, they're now hit when they're exceeded, not equaled, which makes, them a little bit harder to hit. Which is good news for mystics for corruption threshold, and good news for everyone, including the bad guys for pain threshold, I suppose. Your arrow sinks into one of the multiple flowing maws along its hide, and again, there's no kind of like vocalization from it, but you see the flesh around it quivering and trembling with displeasure. Farah.
So, the thing, is it covered in oil as well as fire, or?
There's some oil spattered over it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I would like to. I'm going to be attacking it with my staff. But if possible, I would like to wrap some cloth around my staff and set fire to it.
I mean, you don't need to wrap the oil. Just covers like what if you dipped your hand in it, your hand would come out on fire. So, you can just dip your staff and start
yes, I would like to. Yeah, well, basically, yes, I want fiery death staff.
Fiery death staff, you got it.
In
You
the
got it.
hopes that I will set fire to other bits of it.
Absolutely. I would say the fire itself doesn't seem to be particularly hurting it, but for the purposes of keeping it lit and visible,
visibility, yeah,
it seems to be working pretty well. So yeah, you can absolutely do that now as well. And why don't you give me a strike at a +3, please?
Absolutely. Right. So I need 18. And I got 14, so we're good. I have hit it.
Give me that damage roll.
Damage roll is a 10.
A 10.
A 10 out of my D10.
Folks.
Yeah.
My word. Okay. So yeah, you strike it again, and more quivering, more trembling. It seems like a generally unhappy abomination unto the gods of earth and air. Aaron, your turn.
Okay. I think I am probably just going to slash at it again.
Go for it.
Oh no, that is a hit, but it's only 1 damage.
Okay, yeah, you strike out at the thing, and your blades do not find the purchase they had last time, and you find your blade deflected off a particularly horribly scaly and leathery patch of flesh along its hide. Perhaps, let's say you had to like leap away slightly because it's kind of whipping these appendages round, and flaming oil is coming off them and kind of threw you off your strike quite considerably. Let's go for it's the Scorner. So I'm going to need someone to give me a defense roll, and that someone is Gara. Chris may get his wish after all.
It's been a pleasure, all of you.
So that's a defense roll, please, at -3.
Oof, 10 or less. 17.
There we go. Can you give me an armor roll, please?
Do I want to spend an XP just for another go on the?
You've been saying you want your character to die for like.
Yes, but dramatically, Matt.
Not against a big bad guy. That's not dramatic.
What is more dramatic than being tentacled to death?
Like being tentacled to death after doing just one more round of damage. No, okay, I'll take the defense roll. It's a D4.
Oh, for your armor. Yikes.
Oh, no.
It's a 2.
Okay. What's your toughness?
Oh, well, that's a 10.
Okay. Well, take 8 of it.
Oh, that might be my pain threshold.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it is.
Even with the new rules. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. Oh, hang on. There's a disagreement between my character sheet and my cheat sheet. 1 second. Either way, I survive. So let me work out exactly how much I have left. And you've hit my pain threshold, because that's fine.
Yeah. I thought your pain threshold would not be more than 8. So let's just check that pain. Yeah. So you can determine whether you are knocked down or suffer an additional free attack.
I'll take the knockdown.
I think that's probably a good idea, yeah. So one of those tentacle-like appendages barrels into you as you're kind of trying to back around the others, but it was curling around the side of the chamber, and it plows into you like a wild horse, and you tumble along the ground, and as you tumble, it rolls over you and around you and curls you up within its grasp, and you are now on the floor, gasping for breath as you can feel muscles, limbs, bones creaking as the coils wrap around you and start drawing you back towards the mass.
Please help your goblin friend.
Shuglud.
Shuglud.
Another quick roll, please, friend.
Okay. Yeah, definitely still sprint. Is this still a +2? Doesn't matter. I rolled a 17.
It is still a +2. You rolled a what, sorry?
17, which fails.
Which fails. That's fine, though. So, I mean, you're still running, just maybe starting to run out of breath slightly. You're dashing now. You turn round and a corner, and you can see like the stairs ahead of you, and running down the stairs towards you, you see Serex, Atio, Mariel Kohenor, Elmea, and Vlador the Dwarf, which I believe is all the other remaining NPCs now. And they are kind of running, clearly having heard. You're not sure how much of this is audible from the surface, but clearly enough that they are now kind of running down towards you. Behind them, about halfway up the stairs, you see the figure of Foza, the goblin who vanished in the forest. She is reaching out towards you, saying, "Quick, brother, quick!" Kind of waving for you to kind of just come past them as fast as possible.
I will definitely run straight past them. I don't even think I'd say anything to them. I'd just sprint past them as best I could. I guess the corridor is quite narrow, but
you can do it though. You know, you're nimble and small. You dash past them. As you kind of roar past them, Serex kind of wheels around and goes, "Goblin, Prios, damn it!" And like you are aware of him kind of like picking up the pace, and like his footsteps like thunder behind you as the huge man in his plate armor attempts to dash to the rescue. Yeah, and you're up the stairs and sort of leaving the area. Vardamar, your turn, friend.
Yeah, I think it's another go with the staff there. I think the curse affords him as much protection as he's going to get from this thing, because if he gets hit by it, it's not really going to matter any other way. So
yeah,
he's just going to give a go with the staff. And that's at +3, you said?
It is at +3, yeah.
Yeah. That one does make it, only just. And with the quarterstaff, that's 5 damage.
5 damage. What's the die roll out of interest?
I thought it was a D8, if I'm not mistaken.
It may well be.
Yeah.
That is a 5 damage, which is mitigated, but there we go. Yeah, you thwack it with your staff for the first time. It gives off a satisfyingly sort of meaty smack, but you're not sure, you know, how much damage you've dealt it, but it's physical enough that you're doing something for sure. So there we go. NPCs, I don't think anyone can see any of the NPCs now. I guess Shuggler can hear the other 4 kind of like dashing away down the corridor behind you, or down the tunnel, I should refer to it. So we'll roll back round. Gara, can you give me, please? You have to make a contested roll. That roll, I believe, I will double check. It's your strong, and it's going to be at a -3.
4 or less. 9.
Take 4 more toughness.
That puts me below 0.
That puts you over the edge. Gara, you desperately sort of fumble to try and maintain a grip on your bow. It's out of your grasp and slipping away. You have one of those stone arrows left in your fist, and you just drive it repeatedly into the flesh and into the flesh, and you feel the constriction around you. Oddly, there's no pain, just a lack of breath and a sense of tightness. There is... you're vaguely aware at the edge of your consciousness there is a snapping noise, and then you start to drift away. Farah.
Well, I'm just going to continue trying to hit it so that we don't all suffer Gara's fate.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm just gonna hit it with my flaming staff again, hopefully.
Absolutely.
So +3, is it still?
It is +3.
15, 16, 17, 18. Yes, I rolled an 11, so I've hit it. And damage roll is 10 again.
10 again. Okay.
Farah, just bringing out the big guns in everyone's hour of need.
You absolutely are. Yeah, you're wading in among the weaving tentacles and limbs and maws and eyes, and just kind of your staff a blur around you, kind of striking with cracking noises at various parts of it. It is, as I say, kind of like starting to kind of reel away from you now almost. It has learned that going near you hurts.
Good. Good.
Aaron.
I don't like the implications of that sentence for me, but I'm gonna try and swing for it again. Is it still on fire because of Ferra's staff?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. As long as people keep hitting it with stuff on fire, I'm not going to worry about the visibility thing, I think.
I think I'm going to particularly aim for the part that is grappling Gara / Gara's corpse.
Sure.
Depending on. Okay. That is hit and 4 damage.
Okay. You are attempting, like, you see Gara being drawn down by the thing and pulled towards the mass, and you're desperately kind of like flailing at the long coil tentacle that has him as it's pulling him further in, and you're slashing it, and definitely like you feel it give underneath you, like carve slightly under your blows, but not significantly. And you can see the arm of the goblin kind of like dangling out from the coils open, with the bow lying on the ground, just out of reach. Yes. And we're on to the Scorner again.
No, we're not. No.
Are we not?
No, definitely not.
No. It was a light. Sorry, I was under the impression
it wasn't a lie. It was more of a desperate play.
Sure.
Does it need to go, really?
It's fortunate that you have such passion about that, Elle, because it's hitting you.
Excellent.
Because you are the one dealing the most damage, which I don't think we would have predicted from the pirate fight. But here we go.
No damage here.
No damage here, sir. So
can I just point to Aaron and just be like, it was him.
It was him all along.
It was him. He did it.
Can you give me, please, a defense roll at a plus? It's a -3. Sorry, I teased you there.
Cruel. I mean, let's see, characters. I do get +2. Oh no, wait, I'm novice. Yeah, I gain +2 defense anyway. So that's just -1 then, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Cool. That's still like a 9. I've got a.
Unless that +2 is already calculated into your defense, but I don't know how you set up your sheet, so.
Yeah, I've calculated it into my defense, and then minus that 1, that will be a 9. Yeah. So let's try and get Defendy up in here. Got a 10. I'm so angry right now.
Spend an XP for a reroll.
I will. I have so much XP.
You haven't declared the desire for your character to die.
I haven't.
So I won't be sarcastic at you if you do it.
Right. Okay. Let's. Ha! I got a 9.
Lovely. For a moment, the briefest of moment, the rasping scales of the being coil around one leg, and then you thrust down with your staff, crack it hard, and it quivers away from you, and you step back. Presumably, I would imagine, kind of like quite.
Yeah.
It nearly got you.
I'm just like, bad, naughty, bad tentacle.
Bad extra dimensional being. Yes. So, Shugled, we are back with you, friend. Do you want to give me another quick roll, please?
Yep. I got a 14. Just fails.
Just fails. You basically burst forth up the stairs out into the courtyard, into the odd bright light outside, where it almost feels like nothing's wrong apart from the trembling you feel underneath your feet as you start dashing towards the gap in the wall beyond which there's the spiral staircase leading upwards and the drum on the north wall of the prison. You see ahead of you another shape reaching out from the darkness of the spiral staircase. Alfbolg, reaching out to grasp you with one of his tremendously muscled arms. As you come closer, quick, brother! And he's gone.
I think every time Shagod sees one of his companions, he gets some kind of boost of energy running towards them and on towards the drum.
I feel that is appropriate. So, Vardamar.
This does look dire, but I feel like hitting this thing is the only way out of it. I think there's just a rising sense of panic and just a blind sense that no matter how many hits it takes, it's better than, running and it catching you. But yeah, I think he's going to bash it with his quarterstaff again for all the good it'll do.
Absolutely.
And dice should stay on the table. With a +3, yes, succeed by 1.
Yeah, +3.
So that's 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage. Okay. So, you're starting to get into the rhythm of striking this half-invisible flaming thing now, and you feel some further thunks. You definitely all get the sense that the thing it's not retreating, but it's certainly kind of attacking in a less confident fashion, kind of almost pulling itself into a tighter ball from which appendages and limbs flash out to try and strike you. So you do feel like you maybe kind of have it on the ropes a little bit here. Now in the chamber, you can hear other people kind of like pounding along those tunnels, desperate to get to you. You can hear the war cry of Serix Atio, a howling, wordless thing, as he crashes through the labyrinth towards the chamber. Background to the beginning of the initiative now. The beginning of the initiative is Farah. We can go ahead and take Gara off that initiative order. Thank you, Steve. So, Farah, what about you? Are you taking advantage of the thing sort of recoiling a bit to do anything else, or are you kind of pressing forward and trying to strike it further?
I'm just going to press forward because basically I don't want this thing getting any further towards the rest of the party after seeing what's done to Gara, and I seem to be able to do stuff to it. Absolutely.
And so John's asked the question in chat of what is Arel doing anything. No, Arel is slumped after the exertion that it took to put Vardamar in contact with the beings inside the stone. He is kind of wrecked and slumped against the ground in a corner. So Farah, give me an attack at +3, please.
So I'm going to re-roll. I'm going to spend an XP to re-roll.
Okay.
I just rolled a 20.
Oh yeah, that's
so I'm gonna yeah.
That's an extra dimensional paddling.
Oh, we need a t-shirt with that on. Can that be our first telling tales?
That can be our next hashtag extra dimensional paddling.
Right,
yeah,
okay,
get on the emoji.
So I hit it this time.
Okay, and what damage did you do?
I did 7. Getting some respectable damage rolls in this time.
You really are.
Yeah, it's nice. Channeling FNA.
Yes, absolutely. I think FNA would have carved this up in 2 turns. As I'm saying, the thing is recoiling in front of you, and kind of seems to be attempting to kind of tighten itself around the stone, perhaps in a last-ditch effort to crack it open and feast on the spirits inside. But you're doing a good job of sort of preventing it from focusing on that as you thrash at it repeatedly with your staff. Aaron.
I'm gonna still aim for the same, probably if they're out, the same tentacles that were wrapped around Gara's body.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hit and 3 damage.
3 damage. You are really struggling to get your saber to penetrate the scaly flesh of this being now. So whatever you're doing doesn't seem to be achieving anything. I mean, Gara is not moving and has not been moving for a good 20 seconds or so now. You're fairly sure that your attentions can be directed elsewhere without the chance of loss.
Yeah.
So we are on to the Scorner, which is going to strike at Aaron. So, Aaron, why don't you give me a defense roll at -3, please?
Okay, so I'm aiming for an 11. And I get an 8.
Ooh. As you're striking at it, the tentacle coiled around Gara releases itself, sending the form of Gara tumbling along the floor of the chamber, and it flicks towards you, but with practiced fencer's ease, you withdraw a few steps, almost dancing backwards along the floor, slashing out ahead of you to drive the tentacle off from its renewed attack on you, and successfully so. Shuglud, can you give me a quick roll, please? And I would say this is a roll worth re-rolling with XP if you fail.
Okay.
No hints, though.
It's still at +2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got a 17, which does fail. I will take the hint and re-roll for an XP. Please. I got an 18.
Can you re-roll multiple times, Matt, or is it just like once per? Like, once
I don't know. Let's. I might.
It
have
is a
on my
house
cheat
rule.
sheet here.
It's one of the house rules.
No,
though,
it's
isn't
not.
it?
It's not. It's an optional rule.
Yeah.
It says re-rolled once in exchange for
Oh,
a
no.
player paying 1 XP. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You are going up that spiral staircase as fast as you possibly can, but you you do not manage to reach at the very top as you're kind of flagging halfway up, and sort of you've run a long way now, and you're almost kind of crawling on hands and knees up this staircase. You feel yourself falter for a moment, and then you feel Ull's hand under your elbow kind of lifting you up, and you don't see him, but you feel him and you hear his voice. Nearly there, brother, nearly there. Kind of pushing you onwards, but not there yet. Vardamar.
Yeah, back to blind panic. Can I hear the voices of Serix and the others?
Yeah, you can hear it. I mean, you can't hear the other. If they're crying, they might be shouting, but you can't hear them over the sound of Serix's wild howl.
That's Serix will do. That's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna sort of give a shout back. In here, hurry! As loud as I can. And yeah, another go with the staff here. That, however, does not hit. That's a 19.
Okay, maybe you were striking out for the coiled tentacle that flashed over towards Aaron, and it moved so fast it was out of your staff's range before you could strike. Either way, no damage achieved on the horrible being this round. You can now hear those, the rest of your expedition. They're very close to the chamber now. It may be your imagination that the floor is thudding along with the rhythm of Serix's footfalls, but either way, he sounds like an avalanche approaching. We are back round to Farah.
Okay. Just all you can do is keep hitting away at the big cosmic horror. Just keep hitting away at the big cosmic horror.
Thing.
Yeah, that's and I will continue to hit the thing with the thing because it seems to be working so far.
It kind of is. You guys are doing a pretty good job in this fight. Albeit that anytime it gets its tentacles on someone, it's more or less a guaranteed kill. But strike at a +3, please. All
right, yeah, I got a 3, so I'm definitely hitting it. And I bet this is where my damage rolls are going to go to shit now, absolutely.
Possibly.
I got a 10!
Another 10. Fan.
This is crazy. Like, I'm genuinely like, what? Making up for the fact that I've rolled like dog poop for the rest of the campaign, I think.
That is good. And once again, you wheel round, you drag the tip of your spear, which is admittedly starting to suffer from it now, and kind of crumbling away at the end. But you get a huge scoop of that, whatever that petroleum-like substance is. You whip it round and kind of whip it across the surface of the creature. And you feel now that there's enough batterings and carvings on it that maybe the fire is starting to do some good as well. And it's you can now hear a vague noise coming from it, like an odd soft mewling that you would not associate with the vastness and kind of terrifyingness of this creature. But all over now, it's shaking and quivering and flaming and kind of bunching up to retreat away from your strikes. Aaron.
Let's do the same.
Let's do it.
That, is a miss, but I'm considering... Hang on, is that a miss? Is it +3 to hit?
+3, yeah.
Oh, no, that's a hit. And 5 damage.
Go, 5 damage. Okay, you are... like from it kind of reached out towards you with that strike and missed, and you managed to duck in and slice away a couple of times at it. You're not sure exactly how much damage you've done to it, but you know that it doesn't seem to be enjoying what you're doing. So clearly you are getting some work done there. Vardamar, can you give me a defense roll, please, at a -3?
I was really hoping you weren't going to say that. That is not going to do it. So I think I might burn a experience to
go for it.
One. Yeah. That's a 2 though, and that is okay by me.
Okay. Those appendages flash towards you, and with a gasp, you recoil, and you can you hear them coiling against each other in front of, literally right in front of your face, and a kind of the sound, like, someone sanding a plank, like the dry rasp of the coils against each other, and a vague, odd, dusty smell as parts of it kind of like grind off into your face as you recoil away from probably what would have been a pretty bad situation for you. Shuglud, we're back to you. You know what? We don't actually have to make another quick roll, but why don't you make it for me anyway? And you know what? I'm going to say there's no advantage now. I think you are so tired at this point that...
Okay. Nope, I've rolled a 12, which would have made it with advantage.
That is fine. You clamber up the final steps to the top of that, gasping and gulping for air as you stagger towards the drum. You almost kind of collapse over it as you make your way towards it. And as you do, you see, as you're kind of half resting on it, that there is what looks like an ancient brass beater for the drum, like laying down at the side of it with like a heavy wooden head just lying there on the ground.
I'll pick it up and I'll just hit the drum as hard as I can to start with.
Well, that is your intention, certainly. Okay. But given all these failed quick rolls, you reach down and you kind of reach out for it, kind of grasping and fumbling along the floor. And then you sense more than see, like someone pushing it towards you and holding out for you to grasp. And you hear Gara's voice saying, "You did it, brother."
I'll take it from Gara, and on the drum I want to play some old marching beat of the Varagoldru. that we had back when we were still a full tribe. And I think Shuglad's thoughts will just be of all the Varagolju that have gone, especially the more recent ones, but all of them throughout the past few months.
Absolutely. You rear up and it's almost like you are galvanized again. As soon as you start beating the drum, you feel it almost. You feel your heartbeat synchronizing alongside it, and the entirety of the prison and the ground underneath starts to tremble and rumble with the rhythm you are keeping. Down below, you feel this as well, and you hear it. You can hear the drum starting as soon as Shuglad starts to play it, and everything is trembling and grinding around you as you do so. Vardamar, give me, please, a attack. I'm assuming you're attacking. Give me, please, an attack roll.
Yeah.
At +3.
That one will hit, yeah. So that is 6 points of damage.
6. Perfect. Vardamar, you leap forward, presumably from the what would we call it? The almost happenstance escape from almost certain doom in front of you. You wheel forward and start laying it about you with the staff, and the thing quivers and mules and trembles, and then you hear them pound into the chamber behind you. And right next to you, like a, obviously not a metaphor that means anything to Vardamar, but like a freight train barreling in full plate armor, laying about himself with a great sword, Serix Atio. The man might be a curmudgeon and a drunk, but he is a wheeling circle of death as he makes his way forward. But as all of you make your way forward, slicing and carving at the creature, coming apart under your blades and your staffs, and you can see kind of the dwarf Vlador is there cutting away with his twin blades. The Scout Elmea firing arrows into it as it slides down the monolith, losing its grip and collapsing on the floor in a wet pile of flame and scales. And even Mariol Kohinoor is there, like desperately with eyes wide from terror, flailing at the thing with a sword until it is done and the creature is dead on the floor below you, still only partly visible. Evidently death does not resolve whatever trait of its that keeps it invisible in this world. We can remove the initiative now, please. The chamber and the labyrinth as a whole is starting to crumble, and the chains seem to be warping and coming loose from their moorings as the stone starts kind of dipping and tumbling over to one side. As it does so, the cracks that were made in the top of it widen slightly, and a pool of iridescent light opens on the side of it. It seems that briefly, for a moment or two, there is a way through to the other side, to being banished from this world and into another. Serix Atio is sort of breathing heavily and kind of coming down from his rush of berserker fury. He wheels round and points to Gideon, kind of crawling on the ground out of the chamber, and says, "What do we do with that one?"
Toss him through.
He looks around to see if there's any dissent. Mariol is kind of looking around going, was this his... Did he do this?
Yes.
This was his doing. He was in thrall of whatever that thing was. And I think if he searched so hard looking for this place, he might as well stay here.
Serix shrugs takes a couple of steps over towards Gideon, lifts him with one hand wrapped, kind of twisted in the yellow robe of his cowl, lifts him up, takes a couple steps back towards the stone and says, "In you go, lad!" and just tosses him through. He gives a kind of howl of anguish as he dissolves into the iridescent light, and then he's gone. You probably need to get out of here quite quickly, but before you do so, I would just like to pose one more thing. Farah, as you are readying yourself to flee with the others, as I'm assuming you would be.
I'm definitely not holding up any structures.
Absolutely. Looks like my camera was unplugged.
Well,
oh, it's done the thing again. That's fantastic.
What timing?
What incredible,
absolute dramatic masterpiece.
Well,
I think the
I'm
real
dead
enemy
and
was the
nobody
friends we made
cares.
along the way.
I care.
Farah cared. She was like, we've got to throw Gideon through the portal.
just have to turn it off and on, of course.
Of course.
So,
Yes.
Farah, obviously, we can all take our actions and stuff, but before you do, I would like to pose a specific thing to you.
Yes.
As you, I'm assuming you'd like help Areld back to his feet again.
Yes.
As you do so, he glances towards the now shrinking pool of iridescent light and turns to you with an almost hopeful look on his face, the first hopeful look on his face you have seen since your escape from the depths of Davakar. And he says, we could flee to somewhere they will never find us.
So, out of character, I'm going to state that I absolutely already had that idea and was going to suggest it for that very reason. In character, Farah will take his hand and mind link the idea over in case people, want to stop them. And just, yes, I agree. Let's go quick. And
He
just, yeah.
nods. You stumble forwards. I'm going to say no one's going to expect you to do this. So I don't think we can really give other people a reaction of trying to stop you. And even if we did, I'd say they'd be kind of confused for a second as you do so. You notice Elmea kind of watching you with a certain amount of curiosity and also perhaps on some level an amount of understanding as you stagger towards the iridescent light and both topple into it hand in hand, understanding each other as you always have done. And you feel yourself moving, going somewhere. Can we remove, just for the purposes of this last bit, just because I want to focus on the people who are still here, can we remove Chris, Elle, and Sam, please, from the screen? And let's just have the two we're with. Hi. And you know what? I'm going to change it to, if I change it to be like, oh, no, I don't like that one. No, I don't like that. There we go.
It's too much.
Let's get rid of that. So I'm assuming we're trying to get out of here as fast as possible, but, correct me if I'm wrong.
That seems like a good bet.
Vardamar has no desire to be here any longer than he has to. Is anyone in a position to bring Gara's body out of here, or is that an imposition?
Are you going to say something like that out loud?
Yeah, I'm going to flag it. Maybe Sarix can do so before we really have to get out of here. But if it's going to put us at serious risk, it's a fitting burial regardless.
I was going to go for Gara's body anyway and maybe gesture to someone to go for Elle.
Okay. Aaron, can you give me a strong roll, please?
Yes, I can try. So I need a 10. I rolled an 18.
Okay, that's fine though. You scrabble at Gara's body and try and heave him up, kind of like, holding him under the armpits like that and try and make your way back, but you're really not making it with any sense of dignity or speed. Serix kind of almost shoulders you aside, grabs Gar under one arm, already has Ul under the other, and the greatsword across his back, and he just turns to you and says, "Don't be a damn fool! Go!"
I run.
I will
Okay.
haul out of there.
You all start running as fast as you can out of that labyrinth. Can you both give me a quick check, please?
I pass.
I fail.
Okay. In that case, could you give me an armor roll, please, Vardamar?
That I do pass, though, weirdly. Okay. I will take it. That's a 4.
Look, a full 4. Okay, yeah, sure. As you're stumbling through the labyrinth and desperately trying to make your way out, you can see parts of it crumbling down ahead of you and behind you and to the side. You see the others desperately trying to make their way out, almost in an uncoordinated fashion now, just everyone running and dashing as fast as they can. Vardamar, you almost find yourself tripping on a piece of the guttering that's come away, and it ignites your robe for a second, but then you kind of, just the speed at which you're moving puts it out, and it doesn't do anything more than scorch the very surface of your skin as you finally emerge from the labyrinth, clamber up those stairs and out into the daylight as you can see the walls of the prison starting to crumble around you. Can we have Sam back on the screen, please? Sam, Shuglud can feel the north wall giving way underneath his feet, kind of the dizzy lurch and slipping of sliding of the ramparts collapsing in and on themselves. Can you please give me, first of all, tell me what your toughness is?
I think it's 10 at the moment. Yeah, 10.
That feels appropriate. Can you give me an armor roll, please?
Okay. That is just a D4. I got a 2.
Okay. As it gives way beneath you, you can feel kind of yourself tumbling and tumbling, and then there's an overwhelming sense of blackness and crushing weight, and you fall kind of out of consciousness. And we're going to move forwards in time. An unspecified amount of time, perhaps an hour or so. Aaron, Vardamar, you're in the vast courtyard of the prison. The rumblings have long since stopped, and ahead of you, Serix picks up the final bit of rubble from where he swore he could hear pained breathing coming. Mariol takes it off him and throws it to one side, her face coated with as much dust as the rest of you. Serix looks through into the darkness of the tumbled down wall and says, "He's there. I've got him," and reaches inside. And I think that's where our story ends. Bring everyone else back on, please.
Well, heck.
Well, heck. Could have had you like walking away in the forest. That's not as interesting and sudden as ending as that, is it? There we go.
Okay.
If anyone wants to read through that, Shuglud did survive because it didn't take enough damage to die. Yeah.
Mission failed.
Yeah.
Mission failed, Sam. You had one job. I don't think. Why couldn't you?
I don't think being crushed by masonry is the valiant death he wanted. So he lives to die another day.
Oh, that could be a movie.
But he is the last survivor of his kind, isn't he? I mean, that alone.
He is now the last surviving member of the Varaguldur.
The last of the Varaguldur, yeah.
My plans worked. So that was Fetters of Stone, everyone. That was our finale. If you've got any comments or questions, please sling them into the chat. We hope you enjoyed that. We really enjoyed that. I think it's safe to say I had good fun with it. Get some quick promo out of the way before we go on to like further all those comments and questions and stuff. And if there aren't any from chat, we'll talk amongst ourselves a little bit as well. But yeah, we are Telling Tales. Free League were kind enough to let us run this on their channel, so thank you to them. We have our own stuff. If you go to Telling Tales RP, as it says at the bottom of the screen, on Twitch, we stream very frequently there. All our VODs are available on YouTube. If you just search for Telling Tales, you will find us. We run 3 weekly shows, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, each at 8 p.m. BST, which is 3 p.m. EST, for reference, although other time zones are available. Mondays is Call of Cthulhu, Tuesdays is Blades in the Dark, and Wednesdays is Symbaroum, our main Symbaroum campaign, from which this has been a spin-off. We also run one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. Our most recent one was One Ring, the new version of One Ring by Free League. Our next one is going to be Dungeon World. Yeah, they're available as VODs as well. Got a whole bunch of them. Alien, Fiasco, The Expanse, Maltborg, Troika, Honey Heist. Yes, I think that's all of them from this year. But they're all great, and they're all in VOD form on our YouTube. Promo. Have we got anything from chat, please, Steve? And if we don't, let's lurk for a second in the meantime. Guys, thoughts?
Glad you've managed to keep one kind of hanging NPC floating around in the game world for future use, at least.
My only thoughts are in terms of the optional reroll rule. I would argue that in like little mini spin-offs like this, we shouldn't have it.
Yeah,
because it becomes like because the thing is, it completely devalues it because like you're not saving your XP for like bigger things. So then like, that final fight just became, I mean, obviously it was deadly, but it became just this like little bit less deadly because there's this knowledge that if I fail, I can just re-roll. I mean, obviously sometimes that doesn't work like with Sam's quick rolls, but like, that's the only thing that I like had a thought about.
I think that's legit.
Or just you're limited to one per adventure,
or one per session or something.
Something.
Yeah. That's fair.
That is fair. House rule that for the main campaign, maybe as well.
No, because I think it's working as intended for the main campaign because it's it's really valuable. So spending
also want that XP and to get stuff.
On comparing the two, I mean, we were rolling a lot of nice damage there. If you want to see the exact opposite of that scenario, go and watch our last Throne of Thorns VOD, because I think we maybe rolled 10 damage over the course of about 8 rounds.
Steve has pointed out that the rules in themselves say that there's like almost a sub-optional rule that they can decide, the group can decide whether XP spends are allowed or not on failed defense rolls, which is, sure. I'm actually fine with it on that, but as you say, in like a side campaign, like it does. I mean, the spin on that is that I just don't give out XP. If you're not planning to go forwards, then that's an option. If anyone out there is curious, by the way, if you have the Monster Codex and the like, that Scorner took loads of damage. I did give it an extra 50% toughness because I wanted to make it like a King Scorner, like a big old bad one. But yeah, there we go. Anyone with any other thoughts or ideas, things they liked, things that like, I don't know, stood out to them when you drew up for the main campaign? There are a few little Easter eggs in there, I think, or at least attempts to, I don't know.
I feel we have not really fixed the problem of that very large debt that needs to be paid based on the fact we're hauling back some trinkets.
You really have not. No.
But that's not our problem.
It's also not your problem. That's absolutely true. We have had some people point out, and I think it clicked for some people I can't remember which session we were doing, but I think it clicked for Chris in, I think, the first session of Throne of Thorns, that I don't think he clicked to the point that, so when we started our main campaign, we started with a prologue, and spoilers, I guess, so tune out if you want to watch the prologue spoiler free. At the end of the prologue, all the characters in it died or ran away, never to be seen again, sort of thing, including Elle's character, who I can't remember the first name of, but was Sadar, a knight.
Orla. I think she was
sorry?
Orla.
All Adar in Night. And I think Chris only clocked in that session that Aaron is also Arindar. Chris's character in the main campaign has managed to find the sword of Elle's character in the prologue and was going to sell it.
Totally going to fence it, lads.
A
Absolutely
very
just
small
gonna
amount
fence
of
it.
coin.
Yep.
Until everyone kind of went, no, maybe there's a chance that Aaron might turn up and there's crossover. You can give the sword to stuff like that. Yeah. We could have brought Aaron in who just finds it in like a Thistlehold pawn shop. Like, you know, but yeah, so there's some little things like that. And in case anyone was in doubt from it, because I know we had players. Well, I don't think I've said it because I think Elle said it on stream at the realization when I was talking about the chains or something, and you were like, "Oh, fetters of stone."
Yes,
and I was like, "Yeah," but obviously the name. You know, we've got layers there. It's not just about the stone is a prison and the chains, but also the story was about the fetters between people as well and things that link them. The Varaguldru tribe, Fera and Orel, Aaron and Vardamar, and like the pasts that they've lost. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. I don't think there's am I right in saying, Steve, there's an out in chat? No one cares. No one cares about what we did. What we did
very
here.
sad.
The real fetters are the friends we made along the way.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely, yes. Yeah. One last thing, and I think someone did guess it in our private chat here. Farah, you Farah, Elle, you get who the woman was meant to be, right?
My mum?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Because you were taken from her when you were like.
That's what
young.
I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, it's got to be my mum, right? It's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't want to say.
I'm glad you didn't say that in character though, because that would be somewhat less affecting. Cool. All right. Well, we hope you like Fetters of Stone, guys. Yeah, check us out on our own channel if you want more stuff from these wonderful faces. And thank you for your indulgence. Thank you again to Free League. Thank you to Steve for being an excellent stream manager. Thank you to my wonderful players. And stay safe out there and take care. Goodbye.